Hey everyone, my name is David,
I'm Dylan.
and we're here today to discuss another Impact, the new Evangelion short that just came out at the Kara Animator Expo. Did I say that?
I think so.
Kara.
Kara.
You may know us from our Evangelion Rewatch podcast. You cannot rewatch; it's on our channel here if you want to watch it. But today we're just talking about this new short that just came out. Yesterday in Japan, and it was posted online last night for us here. Which, hey, I just want to say, keep doing that. If you're going to release something in another part of the country, posting it online immediately is the greatest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing.
Please keep doing that. They did that with the last Evangelion short, Until You Come to Me. And it's great, especially because these they post them with subtitles, and also these don't really have a lot of dialogue, so even if there isn't subtitles, like, you're not really missing much.
No big deal, yeah.
So that's really great. But anyway, so as I mentioned, there was another short film already. This is the second in what's hopefully a long series of shorts, but could be the last, I don't know, that are, I guess, previewing the new movie. I don't know if previewing is the right word, because I'm not sure how these shorts will really tie in to 4.0 or whatever it'll be called. But they're really, I'm glad we're getting them. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. If they keep doing this until they release it, I'm totally happy with that.
Yeah,
these are fun.
I will say real quick, and I forgot to put this on my note, but somewhere on the website, do you have the website pulled open with the short?
I do. Yep.
When it says like the description of it, it says something about like there's something else coming soon on like February 9th, I think.
Yes, I was about to make that comment. It's called a related program on February 9th. I think what that is, based off the other ones, I think the people who make it come on there and kind of do a Q&A type thing.
Okay.
On production, I think that's what that is.
Okay, cool. Hopefully they'll subtitle it, whatever it is. Just like if you watched our last, we did an analysis of Until You Come to Me, and if you watched that, if you haven't, go watch it. If you watched that, you know that this is just audio, because we don't know how the copyright is for this stuff. I imagine it would get taken down if we uploaded video, so we're going to be just discussing it, and we're just going to talk. So sorry about that. Sorry that you only have to listen to us. No good to see anything cool, but you can go watch the short. And we'll post the link in the description just in case somehow you're listening to this and haven't seen it yet, which would be pretty crazy. So again, it's called Another Impact. We're just going to kind of go through and, like, at first just kind of run down everything that happens, and then we'll kind of go back and discuss everything individually. So it opens up, and it's kind of like, I don't know if I'd say handheld. Does it seem handheld, or it's like security camera footage?
It seems like handheld at first.
Okay, that's what, yeah, because it seems a little shaky and it's kind of moving all over.
Mm-hmm.
And it's footage of an Evangelion, Unit Null, or
another number.
And the camera starts moving up and showing off the Evangelion bit by bit. It starts at the feet, and we see people kind of working on it, operating it, and we hear some people, they're running tests on it, trying to get it to start up. And the camera starts moving up, and we see more and more of the Eva. And as it gets to the top, they start saying that something's not right, and the Evangelion kind of awakens itself and decides to launch up into the city. And so it does that. It launches up and kind of stumbles around. There's people talking about, like, we need to get the military involved, like, this shouldn't have happened. And the Eva grabs its head and seems to be kind of, like, coping with the fact that it's awakened, maybe. The military choppers show up and begin attacking it. As usual in Evangelion, that does fucking nothing.
Absolutely.
And so the Evangelion doesn't slow down a bit by that. Then we hear a voice say, "I'm right here." Now, I'm not an expert on voices that are in different languages. I don't really know them, but I am, like, almost 100% positive that's Rei Ayanami's voice.
Seems to be
the general consensus. So I will say that that's right. So as soon as it hears that, and again it says, "I'm right here," the Eva starts running towards the voice, runs through a building, and seems to pick something up in its hand. We don't see it, but we see a quick flash of a red eye, and of course Rei Ayanami has red eyes. Mm-hmm. And the Eva looks at it, closes its hand, and then looks up and screams. The camera pulls way out, and we see a giant landscape, which is not a lot of land, just kind of like remnants of land that seems to have been mostly destroyed. Just a little bit of the city that we just saw, and a massive red ocean. And that's it. That's the short.
Yep.
So we're going to kind of go through and discuss some of that. With Until You Come to Me, the last short film, I feel like there was a lot more to discuss and dive into. This seemed to be a little bit more of just a, like, let's show off what we can do kind of thing.
Right.
So
Definitely.
there's a few things that I really want to hit on and talk about, but I will say there's not as much as last time. So, yeah. So, first of all, this footage is, like, all marked confidential, and this is going to seem weird. Maybe people haven't even seen this movie, but the way it's directed reminded me so much of District 9.
Yeah.
Because that movie starts out and it's like, this was footage found. Like, this is confidential. Like, we can't show anybody this footage. And it starts out and it's all, like, handheld kind of stuff. It's like it's almost like documentary kind of filmed. And then later on, the directing changes to be traditional kind of camera shots. And that's how I felt like this was. Like, again, it starts out with that handheld. And then when the Ava breaches the surface, the cameras change to be, actual cameras instead of, like, somebody there filming it. So, yeah, just kind of interesting. I don't know if that means anything. I think it's just a stylistic thing. If you scroll down on the website, you can read a little bit about this, and they have a lot of, like, shots of the animation and the CGI effects and stuff, and also the storyboards, which is cool if you want to look through that. But it says that this is set in another time and another place.
Another place, right.
And that this unit is another number, Unit Null. And then after that, it further on goes to say that this is another world. So that's obviously pretty fucking vague.
Yeah.
I think,
like,
from that, the assumption would be this is not connected. I mean, it's, connected, but, like, this is not the world from Evangelion Rebuilds or even the Evangelion show, or I would say even the manga. Like, this is a separate reality, a separate, plane of existence or whatever. But it doesn't seem to be happening in the same universe as the other, according to that.
Based off what that's saying, like, not even the same universe. This is, like, something entirely different.
Right, which is interesting because that's what the text after the video says, but purely watching the video, I would be under the impression that this happens in the rebuilds.
Yeah.
So, again, obviously what I'm about to say is very contradicted by the text, but my original, because I didn't read that first, my original impression of this was this is probably set between 2 and 3, or maybe even between 3 and 4. Or actually, the impression I got, at the end of 3.0, Asuka says, we're going to go where the Lilin are. And here we see people trying to construct a somewhat new Evangelion. It seems new, it seems different than the others. And it fails and goes wrong, and when it breaches the surface, we see remnants of a city, and we pull back and see a mostly destroyed world with the Red Sea, which is kind of how the state of the world is after 2.0. So I really, first watching it, I got the impression, like, this must be where the Lilin are or whatever. Like, this is, like, maybe the last bastion of humanity, and they're trying to build this other Eva to help them out. That, again, that seems very wrong in the light of this text that says it's another time, another place. But I can't still help but feel maybe that's
some sort of connection too.
But it's also somehow connected.
It's so hard too because we don't really know how involved Anno was per se for all these things.
Yeah, so I was trying to look up that, and this is definitely a different director, and it seems like different writers. Anno is credited, I believe, as like a producer or something. It kind of seems like the impression I get, and this is speculation. This isn't confirmed, but the impression I get is that they wanted to make a new short, and they had this idea of this new Evangelion, and they're like, oh yeah, let's do it. And then they contacted Anno, and he's like, sure, just, say it's like, I don't know, different time or different world or whatever. And then they made it, and then after they made it, he kind of checked back in and was like, okay, yeah, this checks out, sure, yep, that works, yep, I'm okay with that. It doesn't seem like he was there saying, like, okay, so here's what it's going to go, and here's how this ties into the universe. It seems like other people wanted to do an Evangelion short, and this is how they kind of got away with doing it, by saying it's another time and another world, and not actually tying it in. Which is interesting because that's not really the impression I got with Until You Come to Me. That seemed to be very much connected.
Yeah, that seemed very intentional, everything they did.
Yeah, but it does seem like Anno was much more involved in that one, even though, it was a different animation team. So I don't really know how much of what we're discussing really matters, I guess, if any of it.
Yeah.
It might, just be like, this might really just be a fun little thing that doesn't end up meaning anything. But I don't know. I guess if you're listening now, I guess you're on board too. So I guess let's talk about Rey. Or actually, before we get to Rey, is here's the question we're going to present to discuss. You ready for it?
Let's hear it.
Is this Evangelion piloted by a person?
I am saying no.
I am saying
no as well. It looks like it's autonomous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's autonomous.
I agree. It doesn't. We never get the impression that there is. They never, when they're talking about what they need to do, there's never a line about like eject the pilot or connect to the pilot. It all seems like they're talking about a machine and not something operated by a person.
Right, and it kind of very much seems like the way it's acting is reminiscent of when the Evas go berserk, which is generally when they kind of start piloting themselves.
Yes, it seems like it's almost having a crisis of like realizing that it's awakened.
Right.
To me, this is a more bizarre theory. It almost seems like we know from Evangelion, a person's soul is put into an Eva so that it can run, and it almost seems like this person just realized that they're in a robot and not in a human body anymore. Because when they come out, like they're grabbing their head, like they're not sure of, like what's going on. They're like stumbling around. It almost seems like somebody like learning to walk for the first time.
Yeah.
So I think just like maybe traditional Evas, there's still a soul inside of it, and it's trying to cope with the fact that it's a soul inside of a thing. That could be wrong. It could be complete machinery having a similar revelation. It could be a.
This might be crazy too, but I feel like I've never seen the Eva make noise or open its mouth unless it's in its berserk mode where it's controlling itself.
Yes, that's true.
And not a human.
Yeah, that's true. And right away, the Eva opens its mouth, and blood seems to like spew out.
Yeah.
I kept watching that over and over because I kept wondering, like, did blood just spew out, or did it eat that guy that was up there?
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't look like it ate the guy. But that'd be pretty fucking crazy if it did. But yeah, it seems to like almost like cough up blood or spit up blood or whatever. Yeah, but definitely, when the Evas open their mouths and kind of make actual beast-like noises, not machine noises, that's definitely like their berserk state. And of course, that just means that they're like kind of they've become conscious.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into Rey. So again, because it's the red eye, that's got to be Rey's voice, and that's what other people are saying too, and that's the impression I got. So the voice says, "I'm right here." So, what I would think and what other people definitely seem to be agreeing with, and this is kind of the obvious theory, is this is one of the quantum rays, as they're referred to, or bookend rays, whatever you want to call them, that we see throughout Evangelion and the rebuilds. So I guess the question is this one of the quantum rays from End of Evangelion? Or is this a quantum ray from this own exclusive universe?
Yeah.
Because the quantum rays, they can kind of appear in any time, in any place. So if this is another world, I suppose it's possible that one of those rays could appear here.
It definitely could, yeah.
But it could also be a ray from this universe.
The thing I find weird, though, is most of the time when you see a quantum ray, it's almost like an accidental pop-up. And they don't really say or do anything. They just kind of disappear as quickly as it came.
That's true. They don't really seem to have a purpose. This one did seem to have a purpose.
This one very much seems like it's intentionally where it's at.
Yeah. That's true. It seems like it's contacting this Eva for a greater purpose.
Yeah.
Which it does seem different than the quantum rays because they usually appear to only be observing events that are happening rather than interfering with them. And also, again, because this is like different timeline, it's hard to tell like if this ties into anything. Obviously, with the original Evangelion show and the rebuilds, there's the time loop theory, which suggests that those are connected and they are the same events recurring. So it's definitely questionable if maybe, even though this says this is another time, another place, and another world, maybe this is another variation of events in the time loop.
Yeah.
Maybe way further down the line, maybe way earlier than other things we've seen. I would guess further if it was in that timeline. It's just hard to tell. Like, again, we're really just here to kind of speculate and give our shitty opinions that don't have much merit, because this is one of those things I don't think we're ever really going to know about, and I don't even know if there's honestly that much thought put into this to begin with. I think we might be asking more questions than it's meant to be asked of this. But,
I think one of the things I'm really curious about, too, is not only like when and stuff, but exactly where is it at? Because this doesn't look like Tokyo 2 or Tokyo 3 or those places like that. Like
it doesn't based on how those look before, but after near Third Impact that happens at the end of 2.0, I mean, the rest of the world looks pretty fucked up. Like,
that's true.
When they go back into Tokyo 3 later, into the Geofront, it's pretty fucked. So this could be anywhere, really.
It does have a lot of mountains surrounding it, though, and I have a hard time believing the mountains got completely flattened, but the buildings still stayed there.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I mean, shit like that could happen. It could just be coincidence of where
that's true, yeah.
where things happened, and how things were destroyed.
Yeah, 'cause you got those bridges and all that stuff like that in there, and like you just don't really see many of that stuff.
Yeah.
So we have the imagery. But like you said too, I mean, who knows how much thought necessarily went to.
Yeah. And also it could be one of those like style over substance things. Like maybe it didn't make sense scientifically, but it just looked cool to have a city here and like all that shit. So who knows? But so I guess as far as another time, another place, another world goes, I don't really have any other theories. I think it probably is just another universe, like a parallel dimension or something where events are
kind of like a what if this happened in a place like here, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. Which, you know, is kind of I kind of accept the time loop theory, but if the time loop theory isn't right, I've always felt that way about the show and the rebuilds. If they aren't the same events recurring over and over in the same timeline, then I've always felt like then they have to be parallel dimensions. Yeah. So if that's true, this could be just another dimension where things happened a little differently.
That makes sense.
So I don't know. It's more. I guess we're not really here to give you a central idea. We're here to throw out a couple and let you kind of pick one that you want to run with. And I guess I haven't really decided which one I'm going to totally run with yet on this. As far as calling it Unit Null, other than like stylistically, I don't know if that really means that much.
Well, I think it's interesting because they always call it another number dash Unit Null.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I always think is weird.
A lot of people I saw speculating, like, if this was in the timeline of the rebuilds and not another world, which unit this could potentially be. Like, you know, we saw up to the Mark 6 in Unit 2, and then in the rebuilds we jump way ahead, I believe, to Unit 8 or 9, the Ray pilots. There's several numbers in there that we kind of skip over. So I saw people guessing at which those that could be.
That's like the very first thing I jumped to when I first saw it.
See, my theory would be, since it's called Unit Null, is that, again, if this is in that timeline, or even if it's not, that this is a world where they had created Evangelions. You know, maybe all the stuff with Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 0 had happened and gone down, and now they're creating this as kind of the last, the ultimate, or they want it to be different. This isn't a numbered Evangelion. This isn't, this is just the next one. This is its own thing. This is a different thing. They want it to be different. They want it to react differently, and they definitely tried a different process with it.
Yeah,
especially if it's autonomous.
That's what I'm thinking now too. Because before, that's how I thought. Like, I hadn't been reading speculation or any of the notes on it. I definitely think that's more accurate now. That this is supposed to be something entirely different.
Yeah, I don't think this is Unit 7 or Unit 10 or whatever. I think that this is Unit Null. It's its own
which,
thing.
like you're saying, it's made for something different too. Which kind of brings up the question they bring in the notes too. Is like when it asks the question, for what purpose was this thing created? Which is kind of interesting to make that specifically in the notes.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean that there's really nothing we can do but guess. Because if this is another time, another world, we have no idea. Like, the world obviously looks pretty messed up, but is it from an impact? I mean, hey, maybe it's from another impact. But, you know, we don't know. We don't know, are there still threats in this world? Are angels attacking this world? Are other Avas attacking? Is it something else entirely? We have no idea. So in terms of, like, why was this created, who knows? Maybe just for shits and giggles. I have no idea, because we don't know anything about this world. Mm-hmm. I guess if it is the world of the rebuilds, that makes the question more interesting of why it was created, because maybe it's, you know, to combat Nerve in its current state in the rebuilds. I don't know.
Trying to stop the other Avas.
Could be. I guess as far as another impact goes, here's another thing where we're gonna say we don't know, but what's another impact?
That's a good question. All right, this is a crazy theory that just came to me.
Okay.
So it's called another impact. This units build autonomously.
Seems that way.
And it's called Unit Null.
Yep.
Do you think this is maybe trying to stop the other Ava units from creating another impact by nullifying it?
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, at the end of 2.0 and 3.0, we have impacts that are halted.
Yeah.
I guess it could be that the purpose of Unit Null is to nullify the effects of another potential impact, impact. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Again, that would kind of mean that it would have to fit in with the other universes.
That's true.
But that's definitely possible, and you know, maybe even somehow Ray is involved in that or something. I don't know, because Ray definitely seems to want this unit for something. That's true. And if this is a quantum ray, and here's another fucking stretch, if this is a quantum ray, maybe it could pull Unit Null into its other universe or other place or whatever. But yeah, that kind of makes sense. See, I was thinking that it was more simple, that it was just simply another impact is just like saying like another timeline or another universe. Like here's a place where another impact happened, you know. But yeah, I kind of like that actually.
It kind of strangely makes sense in a way.
Yeah, it kind of does make sense. I don't know, you know, even if that is true, I don't know if we'll ever find
exactly.
that,
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah, I might kind of go with that. It's just my interpretation of it, or I guess your interpretation that I've adopted. So what else do we need to discuss about this? It's marked confidential, which I mean seems self-explanatory. I guess the only question I would have is, since this is another world, another universe, who is it marked confidential by, and who is it marked confidential from? Because the world doesn't seem to be doing that well based on that last shot. I don't know who you're worried about this leaking to at this point.
It also seems interesting because I feel like if something in the other universes is marked confidential, it would either have Sele or Nerf kind of stamped on it as well.
Yeah, and
this doesn't.
There's neither of those logos, presumably because they don't exist in this universe, or
correct.
This could be a completely different organization. Again, if like what I had originally thought, if this is where the Lilinar or whatever they say at the end of 3.0, then it wouldn't be Nerf or Sele, it would be, you know, people just like scrapping shit together. Which is possible, you know, maybe this is almost like a Frankenstein Evangelion. They've scrapped together remnants of other shit they found and are like,
oh, that'd be cool.
Hey, here's our champion that we've created.
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know if there's really much else to say about any of the mystery stuff. Do you have anything about like any of that?
No, I mean, not really. It's like I said, like I hear people make some crazy speculation, but it's so hard because there's not too terribly much to go off of.
Yeah, there's some pretty deeply thought of speculation out there that I don't really think we're really diving that deep into it. I guess let's just wrap up by, did you like this short?
Oh, definitely. This short was awesome.
Okay. I'm gonna be controversial to a lot of people watching, to everybody. I didn't really think it was that great.
Oh, really?
I think, you know, obviously it was good enough that we came and talked about it. I think there's definitely some interesting stuff raised by it. But in terms of like, I guess I keep thinking about, like, I love Evangelion. It's like my favorite show ever. I really love it. I love all the mystery. I love talking about it. I mean, again, we host a whole podcast where we just talk about each episode in excruciatingly long detail. But if this was any other show or any other thing, and someone was like, oh, dude, they're Breaking Bad, they just released this short where it's just like a car drives around. Oh, is that it? Cool, I guess. You know, to me, this is almost the same thing as like, oh, dude, there's this show Evangelion that's like really deep and complicated. Oh, they just released this brand new short. Oh, cool. What is it? Oh, it's like a robot runs around. Okay, like I don't know. I
get that.
Again, there's more to it than that. I just feel like Until You Come to Me, I feel like offered a lot of things character wise. I thought it was more in line with the show. And because it did synchronize up with stuff, I felt like it kind of mattered. And this almost seems to be specifically telling you, hey, this doesn't matter at all. There's another thing. Don't even pay attention to this. But look how cool it is. And I feel like I don't know if I really care.
I get that. I think here's my kind of standpoint coming from, because when I first watched it, I tried to enjoy it and not try and dive too into my viewings afterwards. But when you see the short before this one, what is it called again? I forget.
Until You Come to Me.
Until You Come to Me. It's kind of like, that one does tie in a lot, it seems like, but it's almost kind of like a different stylization of Ava.
Oh, definitely,
Where I see this one kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, here's a different take on Ava, like if it was CGI kind of looking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess, let me clarify. I think it's directed really well.
Yeah.
I think the style that it's directed with is awesome. I just think in terms of, does this matter? Is this something I should care about?
That's what
I don't really know if it matters.
That's what I think's weird, is like, because Until You Come to Me seemed like it did have a point and purpose, and I don't know if they come with more, if that's what they're going to keep trying to go for. But I kind of see these two together now in the likings of like, oh, I know they've done this with like Batman before, where it's like, hey, here's this short film that's a bunch of short films put together, created by different directors and their different takes on Batman. I kind of see this right now, for the most part, kind of being like that. Like, here's different people's like stylization and interpretation of like different things. And to me, it's kind of what this one seemed like. I don't know how deep you can really dive into this, because it just seems like a guy was a fan of Evangelion and wanted to make a CGI Evangelion kind of in a way.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my issue with it. Again, it's directed really well. It looks really cool, but I just feel like it almost feels like a fan film rather than an official Evangelion thing. And
I 100% agree with that.
You know, if I had gone into it with the pretense that this is going to be a sort of fan film, I think I would have enjoyed it more. But I went into it thinking, this is an official Evangelion thing. Anno was involved. It's going to have stuff that matter. Like, but it just seems like somebody, liked Evangelion and said, I want to make an Evangelion thing. I'm going to do it. And
Right.
that's great. Like, I love fan kind of stuff. We do our own fan thing. But I just feel like the way it was presented to me didn't have that
Right.
into it. So I was expecting a lot more.
I kind of wish this would have came out before Until You Come to Me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that would have made Until You Come to Me even more of a surprise, and probably would enjoy this one better because you weren't expecting much out of it anyways at the beginning.
Yeah.
But having to follow up Until You Come to Me, which offered so much, and then you get this, it is kind of like hurt it a little bit.
Yeah, again, I just keep going back to other shows and thinking, like, yeah, if this was another show, like, and they did something similar where they pulled a completely irrelevant thing out and made a whole big deal out of it, would people really care? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, then who knows? Maybe they'll come out and be like, we tricked you. This has all this cool, important details.
Could be.
Here's why.
Definitely could happen. Who knows? Again, I guess I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I think I made the point clear, but
Yeah.
I just imagine a lot of people are going to listen and get to that and be like, "Oh, fuck you, dude! You're fucking stupid," because people don't like it when you don't like something in their fandom.
Yeah, that's true.
So sorry, everybody, but I have my reasons. And again, I think it's directed super well.
Yeah,
I love the
I
style
like the
of
CGI.
it.
Was really cool. Seeing an Evangelion CGI was pretty cool.
The what?
Like the way
oh
it-
yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they did the way it moved pretty well too. It was nice.
Yeah.
You could just feel that. You could feel like the weight to it when it moved.
Yeah, I can't remember the director's credits, but it is like a director. It's like an anime director. Like he's done a lot of other shit apparently.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of it. Something
Yeah, I
called
looked to see if he had anything else to do
Appleseed
with
or
Evangelion,
something.
but he
I
didn't.
don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I'm never gonna watch a show called Appleseed.
I think he did something for Sonic, so
Oh, cool.
I saw that in his credits.
Yeah. So that's the short film. That's another impact.
Pretty much, yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Now, again, we if you've never watched our podcast or aren't familiar with us, or even if you are, we are really dumb. We admit that. We don't think our theories are very smart or very correct. So feel free to tell us all the ways we're wrong. Legitimately, that's not sarcastic. If you have theories that you think are better thought out or more rounded than ours, let us know below. And, or if you just want to discuss it, I always try to reply to comments discussing stuff. I think it's one of the cool things about Evangelion is that a lot of the fan community is very interested in discussing things like this. So,
Yeah, for sure.
leave some stuff below in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on iTunes, you can email us at thedavidmayer@gmail.com. That's my personal email. That's TheDavidMaher@gmail.com. That if you don't want to type all that in, that is in the description on our YouTube video, as well as us on Twitter, where you can at us or DM us, whatever you want to do, and or MCM us if you want. So feel free to get at us. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Let's get a conversation going.
Let's go.
And again, thanks for watching. If you haven't checked out our other podcasts and you're interested in hearing us talk about more things, which would be kind of crazy because we're our opinions are shit. But if you want to check out more stuff, we do have a whole podcast dedicated to talking about the series, and we will be getting to the rebuilds pretty soon. We're almost through the whole show, so feel free to check that out. There's a little shameless plug for you. And if there's any more short films, we'll definitely be on the ball with discussing them.
Exactly.
Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess that's up to you. But goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Later, nerds.